I love feedback. I love feedback because it gives me an opportunity to learn and grow. I have a chance to reevaluate what's going on, reevaluate like my purpose, my direction. Do I need to be more clear? Do I need to express myself in a better way? Is what I've said maybe offensive? Do I need to reevaluate how I speak in that way or this way, making sure that my message gets across in a very kind, loving, inclusive manner and not one that's upsetting and frustrating to people out there? Do I need to be more compassionate in my message? Because that's what I want, is to be compassionate to all of those around me, be compassionate to myself, and then encourage that same compassion around. One of the feedbacks that we've gotten recently a couple of times has to do with the permission to be you always idea. And one person asked, why do I need permission? Somebody else said, well, doesn't permission to be you just add to the exclusivity, the individualism, which is I am separate from the whole, so I get to do whatever I want to do and be whatever I want to be? And I can totally understand how permission to be you can come off that way. I want to explain though. So the tagline, permission to be you always, was born out of experiences. I've worked with a lot of people who have constantly been hiding their true selves because they have not felt safe enough to allow their inner core beauty to come out and just be there. They have lived within the confines of the boxes that society or their parental units have brought them up with, and that's been very challenging for them. So in hiding it, not only have they hidden it from those people around them, expecting certain actions and beliefs out of them, they've truthfully hidden it from themselves as well. And when you live in that kind of life, when you spend all of that time hiding, not only from everyone else, but from yourself as well, you have this inner turmoil and this inner conflict because you don't know who you really are and how you believe and how you feel, because you have acquiesced to everybody else's thoughts and expectations of you. The beauty is that when they give themselves permission and say, oh, you mean it's okay for me to be this way? It's okay for me to believe this instead of that, or act this way instead of that way? It's okay for me to embrace my own opinions and thoughts? When they do that, there's this peace. There's this beautiful moment of shift. But that moment of shift comes about because they have to give themselves permission and compassion. They have to give themselves compassion. So they have to acknowledge, I chose into this. I have been living in that way. And I don't want to live that way anymore because it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel true to me and my core, and I need to change. But they need that permission from somebody else externally because they don't know if it's really okay. They have externally been living according to everyone else's, and they literally need somebody else to give them that permission and say, it's okay for you to choose you, and it's okay for you to shift. Again, when you take just that piece of it, I can understand why somebody would be very nervous and upset that this concept would divide society even further, because we are divided and there is a lot of conflict and upset going on. The thing is that there is a second half to permission to be you always. I always teach balance. And the fact of the matter is that yes, you have permission to be you. And in that same vein, you have to own your shit. You cannot blame anybody else. You have to own your emotions. You have to own your experience. You have to own your words and your actions that come out. In owning your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, you acknowledge that you are the only person who knows and is experiencing your own life experience. Nobody else has the same experience that you are having right here, right now. Even people in the same household living similar lives are going to have completely different experiences in life. Yours is yours, and theirs is theirs, which means that the way that you react to a situation is going to come through with all of your past history, with all of your past challenges and the issues that you personally have had to deal with. And those issues are something that the next person didn't have to, because they had their own. Here's a couple examples. Say you are totally annoyed with a friend that is always late. Check yourself. Are you late? You can't very well be upset with somebody else for doing something that you too do. And if you want to change that, if you want to fix that, you have to start with yourself. You have to be on time. You have to set that expectation and that standard, saying, I want to be on time. And because I'm on time, then maybe the other people will see that too. And I can have a conversation with people, letting them know how important it is to me. You can't say it's important to you if you yourself are not on time. That doesn't make sense. You have to own your shit. Maybe you were just in a verbal altercation with somebody and you rose your voice and you said some things that you maybe regret right now. Well, part of owning your shit is recognizing that when you are above a 3, the issue is entirely with you. It is not that other person's fault. It means that something was triggered, and some of the weight and trauma that you experienced in your lifetime has fed into this moment, and you are afraid or frustrated or whatever it is. There is something coming up for you that is actually being projected into that conversation, and you need to take a step back and say, why was I really so upset? What was I afraid of? What was I worried about? What was that pulling up? What was that triggering for me? And why was I reacting to them in such a manner? Owning your shit. You were above 3. And in that manner, then you get to go to them and say, hey, you know what? The way I reacted was really sucky. And I'm really sorry. And I sat there and I tried to understand why I was that way. And I'd like to talk about that. And it gives the other person a moment to say, wow, well, that experience really sucks. And I can understand why you would respond that way. It's not okay that you treated me that way. So what can we do next time? How can we put ideas and thoughts into place so that if this comes up again, we don't end up where we were the other day because that really sucked? Owning your shit. Permission to be you. You have permission to be you. And you have to own every bit of what comes along with that. What are you feeling? What are you facing? Where are you at in life? And how can you own your part? It's really beautiful when we learn self-ownership and compassion. And when we give ourselves that ownership and we give ourselves that compassion, can you imagine how life would change when not only do we give it to ourselves, but we recognize that those people around us need it as well? Hey, you've got your own stuff and you have your own life experience, and I can understand that. So I'm going to give you permission to be you and allow you to own your shit while I give myself the same permission to be me and own my shit. The thing is that I don't have to change you. I can love you and accept you exactly how you are and who you are. And I ask you to do the same with me. We accept each other the way that we are. We make the world a better place than when we found it. We own our own stuff so that those pointing fingers of blame are dropped. It's no longer you did this, and now it's I reacted this way. I need to understand why. I want to change it. I want to be better. I want to improve. I want to be able to live this life that brings me joy, this life that brings me peace, that I get to be me authentically. And then I'm going to grant that same compassion to everyone else. It really, permission to be me always. And owning my shit actually makes it so that I am better able to gift that love and support and compassion and peace to every single person around me. Permission to be you is not a weapon to be wielded to divide people and be able to say, well, I get to be myself, so screw you. That's not what it's about. And if you're saying screw you, you are obviously not owning your shit and not allowing that person to be themselves as well. You are failing to miss the point. You are failing to bring in the compassion and the love that could be there, uniting us instead. I have worked really hard to create a culture and a space that is loving and supportive and encouraging, a space where people can be authentically themselves without judgment, without fear, and yet with understanding, personal ownership, and compassion. If you are pointing a finger, you are blaming someone else. And there is a lot for you to start looking at inside. I sincerely hope that just taking this moment, I've brought clarity to the question of why do we need permission to be you? And is this really actually a way to divide us instead of bringing us together? I really hope that people understand that there's so much more to it. And there's this beauty and love and grace that can come out of being kind to one another instead of hurting and judging. I've said it before, I say it again. I dream of a world where we all know that we are broken. We all have our own histories and our own traumas and our own experiences that make us have our own challenges. And we react to life according to those challenges and lessons that we have learned and brought up. So in my world, I hope that we can all learn, all recognize that we are broken, and yet in that same aspect, we are all trying to live the best lives we can possibly live. So give yourself a little bit of love. Give the person next to you a little bit of love, and just acknowledge that we are all human, having a human experience, and we can make life a little bit easier, not only for ourselves, but for everyone around us.